Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic Book Nerd. And in today's video, we have a massive Avengers Doomsday plot leak to go over. We are going to talk about it, break it down. We'll talk a little bit about it at the end of the video because this is an insanely long plot leak. But again, we are talking this Avengers Doomsday alleged plot leak. But first, if you are new to the channel, you already know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe, turn that bell on, as we do our best to post on this channel every single day. Now, it has been just a whirlwind of a week because football season has officially started here. So, I won't be posting as much, but I still will try to get at least a video out every other day. That's going to be the goal here when it comes football time and as we ramp up for Avengers Doomsday and stuff like that. So, a short and a video every other day, I think is a perfect kind of leeway there. But, again, I'll try my best to get a video out every single day. If I can, we will have to wait and see on that one. But, again, it's just a busy time here with football season starting around. So, again, we are hopping into this Avengers Doomsday alleged plot leak from Twitter as this is all broken down to us on Reddit. So, let us go ahead and hop into it. Again, like, subscribe, turn that bell on. That's the number one way you can support us. And without further ado, let us hop into it. So, it all begins on Earth 10,005. We see Professor X and Magneto playing chess while devising a plan to attack another Earth. They have created a bomb by Beast, who suddenly another Earth appears on the horizon. Earth 96283 and the X-Men, who have faced similar situations before, spring into action. Arriving on Earth 96283, where it is raining, a group of Sentinels, along with Magneto, travel to New York City, transporting a destructive bomb. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Wolverine discover Spider-Man's Tobey Maguire presence and a fight ensues. Most of the battle takes place on a rooftop. Spider-Man defeats them, but in the end, it's too late. Magneto and the Guardians already destroyed New York and New Jersey. Spider-Man remains on his knees contemplating the destruction. Wolverine tries to explain why this is happening, but Magneto finds them and steals the device to activate the bomb. Spider-Man tries to attack Magneto, but is defeated. Wolverine tries to save them, but it's too late to escape. From Charles Xavier's window, Sam Raimi's Earth explodes, and Magneto and Deadpool return through the portal, leaving Wolverine behind. Action then shifts to Tony Stark's funeral. Steve speaks with some of the heroes, including Ant-Man, before embarking on a journey to retrieve the Infinity Stones. Traveling through time, he decides to stay with Peggy, and they have a son named Jim. One day, Loki visits them. Upon seeing him, Steve immediately suspects something is wrong and thinks he's going to attack them. However, Loki calms him down and explains that this isn't the same Loki he fought in the past, but a different Loki, godlike version who controls the timelines of the multiverse. He warns him about the existence of the TVA and explains that their presence in this era is causing an invasion and that they will soon destroy this timeline because Steve should have never stayed there or had a child. To save them and prevent the collapse, Loki offers them a way out, transporting them to another place where they won't invade, to a universe where they don't exist and where they can live in peace, the Fantastic Four's universe. Before leaving, Loki gives Steve a special card so he can contact him. Steve and his family accepted the offer and have been living in this new universe for 10 years. The sequence continues with the scene showing events from 10 years prior. Reed Richards, Johnny Storm, and The Thing are at a baseball game. There's an accident involving a stadium fence, and Steve and Jim help people move it and dismantle it. Ben notices something unusual, and when he goes to investigate, they receive a burglary alert from the Baxter building and panic, racing home in the Fantastic Car. Upon arriving, they're surprised to find everything calm. There, they see Dr. Doom with Sue Storm and Herbie and Franklin. Although Reed is surprised by their sudden encounter, he knows Victor very well. Reed, Ben, and Victor all studied together at university. Sue knows Victor because he rules Latveria, a country not part of the Life Foundation. However, the connection runs deeper. It's well known that Victor lost his wife and son. Victor only became ruler of Latveria later when he overthrew the brutal regime with his Doombots. Victor is, so to speak, Earth's Doctor Strange, a master of magic and sorcery. Because of this, in addition to the rumors about witches and witchcraft, Sue is very nervous. Victor warns Reed that he fears their Earth might be the next victim of the invasion. Victor is very familiar with the invasions and explains to the Fantastic Four that when the fabric between two realities is torn, the centers of each are drawn to each other, and once the invasion is successful, both universes cease to exist. The center, of course, is Earth. Reed and Victor investigate and discover 3 anomalies on their Earth, but in the same location. We see that Steve and his family grew up together on this Earth. Steve has a beard and long hair, and James is now 10 or 11 years old. Victor and Reed encounter these anomalies, but are surprised to discover that they are simply a happy family. Steve confesses and explains how he ended up there. They warn Steve about what is happening in the multiverse, inspired by the Fantastic Four and their exploits in the forest. Thor and his adopted daughter, Love, travel through space together. However, Love is now plagued by nightmares and about the invasions. Thor travels to New Asgard, where Valkyrie and an Asgardian doctor are examining a young girl who is dying due to the collapse of the multiverse. Valkyrie receives a call from the Avengers informing her of the ship's arrival. Thor leaves Love on New Asgard and heads to the Fantastic Four's ship. Sam Wilson's Avengers are also notified. Thor boards the Excelsior and is shocked to see Steve. Thor doesn't even believe it's him until he picks up Mjolnir. Thor and Steve embrace, and the Excelsior is forced to dock at the new Avengers Tower. As soon as they board, Sam's team arrives and immediately argues with Bucky about which team should take command. Scott Lang spends some time with Ghost. Steve gets off the Excelsior, and almost everyone is surprised to see him. Steve has a pleasant reunion with Sam, Scott, and Bucky. He also shares a touching moment with Yelena Belova as they discuss Natasha. Steve Rogers brings the 2 groups of the Avengers together with a Captain America-style speech, focusing not only on the invasions but also on the cosmic crifts. Sam and Steve make plans to travel to Wakanda, while Shuri tells Sam that she too is aware of the space crisis and is already working on a solution. The group of heroes reunite with the people of Wakanda, and Steve is shocked to learn of T'Challa's death. A small group heads to Talokan, where the effects of the space crisis are visible. The sky has turned red because of this. Namor used all the water that normally filled Talokan to create a water barrier around it. Shuri and M'Baku then travel to Talokan along with Sue, Ben, Ghost, Falcon, and the American agent. The rest remain in Wakanda searching for a solution. Sue uses her powers to cross the barrier, and upon reaching Namor, discovers that he is extremely hostile. He refuses to cooperate with Shuri, and this is where we see Sue's diplomatic skills in action. She manages to unite the people of Wakanda and the Talokans. They return to Wakanda with Namor, and when they arrive, they discover that the situation is hopeless. No solution has ever been found. Reed even begins to believe that the multiverse's fate has always led to death, but he remains open to other options. However, Doom suggests attacking the X-Men Earth, which is caused by an invasion between universes 828 and 616. Sam suggests a diplomatic approach, while Namor believes bloodshed is the way forward. Scott dismisses the quantum dimension and mentions his encounter with Kang. Doom looks at Scott, referring to this comment. Steve rejects the Infinity Stones, swearing they are the reason for their current predicament. Reed jokes and Galactus would be useful in this situation, but no one knows where he is. This joke gives Reed an idea. What if the same technology they used to exile Galactus? Reed believes that if they build 3 cannons, one on each Earth, it will figuratively help them separate. However, they must hurry because time is running out. Steve splits into 3 teams, and one of them remains in Wakanda to begin construction on their cannon. Wakanda already possesses advanced technology that could easily replicate what the Fantastic Four did in First Steps. The team travels to Earth 828, specifically to the Baxter Building, to construct their cannon. The final team must reveal another Earth, 10,005, and convince the heroes to listen to the plan. This is considered the most important task, so the most famous heroes participate. Victor, Reed, with Herbie, Sam, Yelena, and Shang-Chi are the ones who go. Steve feels uneasy about Doom and then tells Thor and Loki about it. Thor insists he take him to Loki, so they devise a plan to reach the TVA using the map Loki left him. Sue and Shuri also have their own problems, and Sue admits to Shuri that something is wrong with Victor, so they explore other options on their own. The team remaining on Earth 616 consists of Shuri, Sue, with Franklin, Namor, Steve, Thor, Ant-Man, and Red Guardian. The team going to Earth 828 consists of Johnny, The Thing, Falcon, U.S. Agent, Ghost, and Bucky. After traveling on the Excelsior, Reed, accompanied by Herbie, Sam Wilson, Yelena Belova, Shang-Chi, and Dr. Doom, board a Quinjet bound for Earth 10005. Upon landing at the X-Mansion, they are immediately captured by a group of Guardians guarding the building. Doom remains outside for cover while the rest of the team stealthily enters. The X-Men have survived many invasions before and have become extremely hostile. They trust no one and believe the heroes of Earth 616 and the Fantastic Four have come to destroy them, so they attack without hesitation. As they nervously wander with the halls, Nightcrawler stalks them from the shadows. Upon reaching the danger room, they encounter Mystique. Yelena ignores Reed's direct orders and goes on the offensive. The battle is intense. Mystique changes her appearance, first becoming Yelena herself, and then Natasha, which greatly annoys Yelena, though she eventually manages to regain her advantage. While Shang-Chi fights Gambit in a flawless and evenly matched battle that ends in a draw, Reed tries to contain Deadpool in a chaotic fight that culminates in a comedic Deadpool 2-esque moment when Wade sits on Reed's swollen face. At the same time, Cyclops attacks Sam Wilson and fires an optic blast so destructive it appears to kill him. The entire battle is suddenly interrupted when Beast, the figure shown in the trailer descending the stairs, appears. Realizing they pose no direct threat, Beast leads them to the medical bay where they find Monica Rambeau. Monica is trapped on Earth 10005 following recent events and is gravely ill from being in the wrong reality. Beast explains to Reed that Monica's persistence in the universe is accelerating the invasion of Earth to a critical level. He also reveals that finally, Reed and Doom manage to meet with Charles, Xavier, and Magneto. As frustrated, X-Men watch Reed and Doom present their true solution to prevent the multiverse's collapse, constructing massive cannons on each remaining Earth that will fire capable of permanently separating universes and preventing invasions once and for all. After an explanation, Reed manages to convince Xavier and Magneto to join the plan and refuse to use the destructive bomb. Upon returning to Earth 616, Steve and Thor left their group and headed to the TVA. The problem was that they found it destroyed and littered with corpses of its agents. Mobius was there and arrived himself. Mobius helped Steve and Thor find Loki. They arrived at the end of time and saw him dead at the foot of the throne. Steve and Thor returned to Earth 10,005, and the trailer shows Thor's arrival and ensuring the battle. Reed is completely stunned and refuses to believe Victor did such a thing. He yells in Victor's face, but sadly, it's true. Victor unleashes half a dozen Guardians against the Avengers and the X-Men. The teams join forces to fight them. However, Deadpool leaves, promising to find proper reinforcements, and disappears from the battlefield. Doom fights all the Avengers and easily defeats them. The mutants are also defeated. Magneto fights Doom, putting up a decent fight, but ends up severely wounded in the arm. Unfortunately, Mystique, who saves Magneto's life, and Nightcrawler, who saves everyone from the Guardians' attack and teleports them to safely, are killed by Doom. In a fight scene, the mutant Avengers are insufficient to defeat the Guardians, and the Brotherhood arrives to help. The Scarlet Witch of this universe, along with Polaris, Quicksilver, and other mutants, easily destroy all the Guardians. Doom finds what the Scarlet Witch of this universe was looking for. Steve realizes this and tries to save Wanda from this universe, but Doom's attack stuns him and Wanda is kidnapped. Victor uses the ultimate annihilator to destroy the X-Men's world. The Avengers, the mutants, Reed and Herbie escape by boarding the ship and traveling to Earth 828. The reality of Universe 10,005 was destroyed by fate. Remaining Avengers, Reed Richards, and Sue Storm tell everyone about Victor Von Doom's past. Bucky has a personal mission to save Steve. He now has a family and must save him. Peggy and James. She is not the original Peggy. She is a witch. The original Peggy is dead. She tells Doom that they are in the Baxter building and he orders the attack. The witch reveals her identity and kidnaps James. The attack on New York begins, and the Baxter building is shown about to explode with everyone inside. A shot of Franklin and Johnny in the trailer. Franklin saves everyone. Charles admires Franklin as an Omega-level mutant. Thor travels to Earth 616, prays to Odin, and a new squad arrives. It includes Jane Foster, Heimdall, and Loki from Infinity War. The inhabitants of Wakanda and M'Baku also arrive with Thor. Valkyrie and Korg are also there. Only 2 Earths remain in the entire multiverse. A portal appears in the sky leading to Earth 616 and then to Earth 828. The final attack begins, a showdown between Earth 616 and Earth 828. The Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the X-Men arrive in Latveria from the Baxter building, while Thor and his army, along with the people of Wakanda, arrive from Earth, visible on the horizon. Victor returns Steve to his castle in Latveria. Steve gets up and sees Peggy following her to the altar, where a fateful chair with a symbol in the center embedded with green magic sits. Doom followers begin to arrive surrounding Steve Rogers. The Green Witch is revealed to be Death. Doom arrives with James, the boy who is crying. As Doom's followers restrain Steve, Doom begins to speak to him, explaining that his interference was the reason for his downfall. Victor tells Steve that he was much like him, a family man. Victor studied the multiverse long before it began to collapse. He met his wife Valeria, and they had a son. Then, one day, 10 years ago, during a routine experiment, an anomaly occurred when Loki transported Steve to Earth 828, causing the experiment to fail. This resulted in the deaths of his wife and son, and left him horribly disfigured. He grabs James and stabs him, killing him instantly. 3 witches are present with Boris. The 3 witches are Death, green, the Ancient One, orange, and Clea, purple, and Boris wears a 3-eyed helmet with armor. Doom personally ripped Loki's heart from his chest. Now his heart is on display along with some books. Victor corrupted by Strange and Clea when they traveled to the Dark Dimension, making them believe that he could save the multiverse. Victor sits on his throne, preparing his team, and the Doombots to fight the invaders. He orders Strange to begin casting a spell from the book, using both Loki's hearts and Wanda Maximoff's magic. Doom's followers are the leaders of each destroyed universe. Victor's main objective here is simple: to allow the final invasion to occur and rebuild the multiverse to resurrect his lost family. On Earth 616, Sentry begins to sense something is amiss between Earth and approaching next Earth. He unexpectedly encounters Vision with Tommy and Billy at Avengers Tower. Vision activates Tony Stark's protocol for all the world's heroes and realizes that preventing the invasion is impossible. Meanwhile, on Earth 828, the heroes arrive in Latveria from the Baxter building, while Thor and his new Valhallian army arrive from Earth 616. Dr. Doom and his team have prepared for this attack. Doom's followers and hundreds of Doombots are present. Deadpool returns, abandoning the heroes of Earth 10,005. He arrives with a multiversal team: Blade, Elektra, and Phantom Rider. A multiversal war erupts in Latveria, pitting the inhabitants of Wakanda, Thor's army, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four against the Doombots and their variants. Namor and Shuri work together. Namor triggers a tsunami that destroys many Doombots. Shuri manages to infiltrate Doom's castle with Bucky to rescue Steve Rogers. Doctor Strange is the only member of Doom's team who is not involved in the events. He is busy working on a spell involving Wanda, Loki's heart, and the Book of God. 2 of Doom's followers are watching Steve Rogers when they are intercepted by the Avengers, Shuri and Bucky, who rescue him. The action then shifts to Earth 616, where it becomes clear that something is happening. The sky turns red, and hordes of Doombots are villains attacking New York City. They pass through a portal wormhole. A scene similar to the one in the 2012 Avengers movie unfolds. The new Avengers team defends Avengers Tower. Sentry, Spider-Man, Tom, Jean Grey, Punisher, the Defenders, Wong, America Chavez, Cassie, Kate, Kamala, Star-Lord, Vision, She-Hulk, Hulk, Carol arriving with the Guardians, and many others, including villains. They all heard Vision's call. The attack on Earth 616 begins. Vision states that the Earth is about to launch a direct attack. Sentry decides to perform a heroic act by flying into space to stop the attack with his bare hands. He buys time for the others to escape. The war in New York is wreaking havoc throughout the city. Everyone in fighting Doombots and constructed followers of Doom, Spider-Man, and the other heroes deliver excellent action sequences. On Earth 828, Sue, Franklin, and Charles are aboard Reed's ship, the Ark, prepared to withstand any change in a hostile environment and capable of surviving the collapse of the multiverse. Sue stays behind. She is pregnant. Charles acts as a mental link with all the mutant Avengers so they can communicate with each other and informs them that Bob is slowing down Earth so that they can escape. There, Yelena speaks with Bob. He says goodbye to her and her friends. One of the witches intercepts this message and teleports to the ship, killing Charles Xavier and kidnapping Sue and Franklin. Cyclops, Reed, Sam, and Magneto realize what is happening and they go to the ship to protect them, but they arrive too late. The Avengers, Johnny, Ben, Thor, Loki, Lady Thor, and the Avengers of the Multiverse are at Doom's castle, emerge victorious in the war against the Doombots and their followers. Doom fights them all, defeating them one by one. Steve tries to strike Doom with Mjolnir, but it shatters, and Doom counterattacks with his sword. Bucky sacrifices himself to save Steve, the dying and bidding him farewell. Three witches kill Ghost Rider, and Doom's followers fights Yelena. Shuri manages to defeat her, but dies from her wounds. Thor to the sky, closes his eyes, and receives Odin's call. The new armor and new power, yellow armor with yellow thunder, rival Doom in battle. Thor takes the initiative in this fight. However, at a certain point, Thor begins to lose his power and his strength starts to dwindle as Doom drains it to absorb it. He defeats Thor by cutting off his hand with his sword and defeats all of the Avengers. Reed's ship automatically activates and leaves Earth 828, calling for Sue and Franklin, unable to save them. The Sentry crashes as worlds begin to collide. The heroes simply ran out of time. Strange completes the spell just in time. With this, Victor is finally able to alter the multiverse. Thus, reality ceased to exist. The two Earths collide, the screen fades to black, and Doom appears in white armor seated in a chair next to Doctor Strange. The end. As we can see, the post-credit scene of Spider-Man movie echoes the ending of the Judgment Day movie. So, that is a lot when it comes to the Avengers Doomsday plot leak. We're not going to break down every single paragraph. I'm just going to talk about some things that I liked about this. The first thing that I did like about this was the fact that it really tied a lot of stuff together, right? Yes, we've seen plot leaks before about Tobey Maguire's universe. However, I think that is bound to happen in this film. I just don't think it's going to happen right out the gate. So, again, I really enjoyed reading this plot leak. I thought there was a lot of action, and there's a lot of stuff that we have seen from when it comes to photos from D23, when it comes to, of course, just trailer shots. A lot of this stuff, it is kind of just, I guess, putting it all together in one plot leak. So we'll have to wait and see on if all of this is true. Again, if this is the movie, I am going to be ecstatic. This movie connects everything. It even connects Spider-Man, Jean Grey, the Punisher, all of those guys, even the Hulk. So again, I really enjoyed this plot leak, and if this is the plot leak, then man, we are in for a banger when it comes to Avengers Doomsday. But you guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Again, we'll break this down later on in the week. However, we just had to go over it in this video. So hit the sub button, leave a comment down below. That's the number one way you can support us here at the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.